August is a really big month of energy, and I know that so much happened in July, and July really moved so incredibly fast and was filled with this kind of varied energy where there was times where you felt some kind of propelling inwards, but then you moved backwards and backwards and there was just this kind of transitional space where this lull of emotional density coming up towards the end of the month and moving into clarity, which August is absolutely providing right on the offset, right at the very beginning. You would have been feeling this new dawn, this kind of clarity arising, this fresh energy. It was just 111 on the clock. And an incredible sense of things shifting. And this is also shown on big spikes on the Schumann resonance. So, what I'm going to do is go through what I've written in my newsletter for August and anything else that might come up that pops through. I've pulled out a few cards as well. And I've titled this month Reset and Rise. So the feeling of reset, you most probably will have already felt early month, but at whatever point is right for you. And it's a kind of reset where in July, by the end month, you were so in this kind of warped reality in a way. There was a period of time where it felt like reality just changed, but it was a strange space. Like it wasn't quite like, oh, wow, it's one of those, woo, the reality's gone up. It has now, but I'm just talking about July at the present moment. And it was this interesting space of, I don't know quite what this is. And I don't feel so great. And then all of a sudden, there was this kind of reset energy. And it's the kind of reset where that old reality, well, the one that was in July that you would have felt, and you might have felt more than one, is shifted away from that, but also in terms of all realities before that. And I'm hearing it will shift again and again and again in cycles, in layers, in like these mini seasons. I'm just seeing waves. And August very much is about riding waves, especially the wave leading up to the Lionsgate and then through that portal. So we have a big month in terms of Lionsgate on the 8th and 2 eclipses this month and whatever else is going on. But the feeling really is of, when I say again, I'm really hooked on this word reset. Reset has a feeling this time of there's different kinds of reset. This is a real like you go to sleep and then when you wake up, everything is reset and fresh and you're in a new space and there's a lot of clarity and you have that feeling of either preparing to or wanting to take action. And that's a lot of what this month is about. As usual, things can go up and down and all the rest of it. But I think that's one of the core messages this month. And the theme being reset and rise. Rise is a huge one. However, as I'm feeling that word rise now, it's like we're rising out of that old density. And I feel the old density in the solar plexus area. July would have had, you may have felt this kind of solar plexus and or throat area playing up on yourself, such as heaviness or weirdness or dizziness or things like that regarding the solar plexus, and feeling like you can't speak up or croaky voice, miscommunications, things like that in the throat chakra. And so as we move forward to it's like this whole notion of reset and rise is like you reset switches on a switch and then within that there's a rising above, but you don't want to rise with the density. That's what I'm feeling now. I'm sort of seeing it as like a fountain, one of those very central fountains that goes up and then splays over. And I'm feeling like this feeling of this rising up. We really first want to work on the little bit of density that's still in there that we are working to clear away and purge. And so all of this density from all our old stuff, and you know what it is, it's whatever was coming up in July or in the previous months and years of your stuff. And so now in this kind of reset energy, it's like you're in a new space where it's easier to face things, dissolve things, and so on. Facing things might be having the talk with certain people, or facing up to certain things about yourself or others. These are some of the themes coming through, and also especially post the Mercury retrograde that was last month. But especially with all this Leo energy and just all this energy of August, which is saying, get up and rise. Like, get up off that couch and now's your time to rise. I see it as before as being like the swooped over flower that's all drained and worn out. And now I see it as shooting upwards and towards the sun. There's a lot of focus towards the sun, and obviously with all the eclipses, as I said that, I just saw this card here. And even this one kind of mirrors that, right? And the idea of the portal. So we'll be entering, various portals really. I really feel there's that Lionsgate portal between the 8th and the 12th. But also just the portal of energy between eclipses as well. It's just portal upon portal, as I said that now again, noticing those circular shapes and the sun energy. Actually, even here, just noticing the fountains. So there you go, just echoing what I was saying. So while I'm on this card, okay, so I know that with Lionsgate energy, if it's something that you followed or heard about before, a lot of people talk about, manifestation and abundance and all that stuff. And I don't always like to go into that too much, because I think sometimes it can feel like empty promises, or like you're thinking, oh, I'm going to get all abundance all happening now. And then at some point it doesn't, or everything is a journey, right? There are definitely times when it is more open for material things to manifest, or for your mind to move through that manifestation window from thought to inception, and whether that is just anything that you want to create, or something that involves finances, money, and so on. So there is that kind of atmosphere which you already will have been feeling like in the landscape. And there's a sense of reshifting. So again, that word reset, like I'm really hooked on it. Resetting finances, resetting what you want to do, resetting what you thought things were going to be, but now it's like, okay, I can see that kind of reshuffling. And whether it's something that you had various dreams or projects or goals, whatever they are for you, because everyone is really different with this. But it's a reframe, a redirection, or a reset. Now, it might just be that you're going to pick up that same thing again, and it's just a bit of a reset energy in it, and you're reinvigorated to move through the next steps or get it done. Or that you realize, actually, I'm going to put that thing down, this new idea is dropping in. And when new ideas dropping in, just always feel into yourself, how true does it feel? How realistic does this feel for me? And is it in true alignment? Because we can get like millions of ideas coming in, right? So it's about anchoring in what feels like it's in alignment. So some redirections there, and sense of, I'm hearing repurposing. So whether that's repurposing content for some people who are doing that kind of thing, but otherwise it is to do with your purpose and repurposing your purpose now. So that can mean a plethora of things. If I'm to look at the etymology, the re being again, so moving into purpose again, reigniting your sense of purpose, re-entering purpose mode, and ensuring I'm really feeling for self before others. And as I say that feeling of self was really echoed through some of the cards here too. But what I'm also feeling of that real importance to cave in and get really embodied in yourself, and also allow for yourself to feel really nourished and cleansed and connected and like flourishing. And also to move into a sense of spaciousness. So the more spaciousness you have and the more connection with source that you have, and more connection with yourself and that flourishing of yourself, and the more open you are to the sun, to the light, the more that it can move in and refresh you and reinvigorate you, and kind of like I'm hearing pump up your life force energy. And as that happens, you have this new energy moving in, and this new energy I'm hearing is very purposeful. It's very high vibrational, cleansing, purifying, but also realigning. And as I say that, I saw the number 11 and then 01, and it's really connecting to the 1111, right? The 1111, which is really that alignment and that pure connection and bringing spirit to earth. And by doing so, you are enacting your life purpose, your soul signature, and you are refreshing in real time the constantly coming in. At times it will be very flushed energy, and it will integrate with you more seamlessly, especially if you open up. And as I said before, like that sense of spaciousness in your life, creating space in your day, creating space in your energy, in yourself, it feels like an opening up. As I say that, like if you to push your chest forward and you feel, and all your creaky little bones and everything that you feel there, and it's letting that light in through the carcass, through the crevices, and just opening that up. And this is also very connected to the solar plexus and to the whole Lionsgate themes with Egypt and so on, Sirius. Just before, I saw 1212, also a very important number with the 12 disciples. 12 is half of 24. There are so many things about the 12, but the 1212 is the sense of unity, completion, and purpose that is reignited and rewoven to a new chapter needing to be enacted, opened up, and then completed. So it's kind of like an alignment, a portal, and then a sense of achievement. When I say achievement, very much in the spiritual sense. I feel like I have so much more to say, but let's get down to some of the other messages and the energies I'll move through the month. So outside of all that, there's really a notion of, the words letting go. I've got this card here, letting go, and it's really these portals opening up. This energy is so beneficial and such an ally for your release of all that stuff that you've been going through. And you'll most likely find that it will be a lot easier, and that things will shift a lot more rapidly. And there's a lot of sort of cleansing and opening with that, because the downside of that is what you were holding on to, which you would have really felt in July and before of that. So outside of that as well, it's a time to really seed in the insight that you're receiving, this new wave of information, because light has codes in it and information, and is very it's literally like I'm showing now, it's like divine sending down signals I'm hearing, but I'm seeing almost like fairy lights coming down and turning on. And the fairy lights connect us, well, they say by no mistake, to the fairy realm too. And some of you may have been experiencing that when you're out in nature, and the angelic realm and so on, which so many of us are connected to. But there's this notion of, as these insights come in and these lights flicker, it's time to really receive them like a beautiful shower of fairy lights. And as you receive them, I'm getting goosebumps. It's integrating them in the light where you've been spacious, you've opened up, you have taken self-care of yourself and the nourishment of self. And then you take the seeds which you feel most shine, most align. Love that rhyme there. And then you plant those in that nourishing soil. So all of this makes a lot of sense. And then beginning a new harvest to grow. So we are coming up to chapters of rapidly closing old chapters, and the sense of it has the potentiality of a really big final goodbye, and or at least as close to that as possible. And it is such a sort of interplay between endings and beginnings. And so the new beginnings opening up are so much more, I'm hearing, empowering. I mentioned the solar plexus before, and there's been a lot of, you would have gone through moments in recent times, maybe a few weeks back or roughly, of self-confidence eroding, having moments of lack of that. And then now we're moving and being disempowered. And now we're moving into empowerment and a true sense of identity that is bigger and closer to truth than ever before. And not just identity, but also self-worth, self-positioning, like your positioning, your sense of purpose reawakening, your identity in terms of a more true and more pure one. It will take periods of self-discipline to focus on what is most aligned. And I'm hearing you'll know, like have that knowing what your one main thing is, but there might be like 2, 3, 4, 5 other things, and they might shift around, and then you might move focus into any of those. But it's important to have self-discipline during those times where you feel that urge, and to follow the urges and move into. That's also why spaciousness is so important, because then when you have the urges, then you can create, take action. I just saw 44, so the angels are very much with us. And there's a notion of now's the time for that discipline, but without the ball breaking feeling of, control and being tied down to something and feeling heavy. There's more of a lightness in it because of the energy, but at times it will feel like it's because you're anchoring down. You might have big periods of time that you're creating and that you'll get a lot done in shorter windows of time, because we all know how time is speeding up so much. And August, it definitely is a major acceleration also. But there's something in that working in high doses, in that high dosage energy. And so it's also about your new talents coming online, and where you may have felt empty and depleted. Now there's a new sense of invigoration, but also that's why your own stepping back into nature and deep replenishment is so important for you as well. So have your moments of that too, especially when you need that new storage of it. So you've really, done so much self-healing, and there's this card here that I'm going to show you, which I'm really drawn to, this notion of, for me, I'm feeling you've come out of not just this last recent cycle, but also lifetimes of stuff have you, especially those of you listening, the old souls, you've been around the block, the empaths, you know what I'm talking about. You've done lifetimes of work in this lifetime and also in the last few months, years, and so on. And, you've done an amazing job. It has not been easy. And I feel that there are some of you, if not quite a number of you, that have really carried the flag in this. You have put up with so much, you've been through so much, and you still have challenges around you. And I'm hearing challenging people. But you've come so far, and you're not going to give up, even though there are times that you really wanted to and thought about it in many different ways. So now you're just getting this validation and reassurance, and we have the angel up there, that it's time to move on to the next project and the next sense of what it is you want to achieve in your material life, in your personal life. and purpose-wise in the greater scale. But as I say that, I feel like I'm like getting a little bit of a crunchy feeling of some people I feel have been disillusioned about their sense of purpose or what's been happening or not happening in their lives. And this is where the tide is turning, I'm hearing. And this will take some time too, because everything that is being said is not necessarily overnight miracles, as you know. That's not how everything works. So it can have moments of that. And so that feeling is this heaviness of, I thought I was going to do so much more. I thought my purpose was so much bigger, and I feel like I haven't been able to grasp it, reach it, or not to the fullness and entirety that I've wanted to. But I think deep down inside why, outside of your own personal stuff. What I'm really receiving is that the collective, there's been so much going on in the collective that kind of like took over things. And that's also why reality felt a bit different and weird at times before. And so now it is almost like you are with that horse, which reminder, it's a horse year. I'm just getting that too. You're about to just step over that. I'm literally seeing the horse not only run through like the ribbon, but jump through it. Like the ribbon easily comes off. It's going to the leaping towards the next chapter. It's ready. And you would have had that feeling happening. Protection also very important. But also I'm seeing through this flag here that this knight, I guess, is holding up. See what it means for you. But for me, I'm really feeling it's very frayed, and I'm really feeling it's the end of some worlds or wars or countries. Like what a country thought was theirs is kind of crumbling, or the old identity of countries, places, groups, organizations fading, phasing, changing, something along those lines as well. And your flag is worn out because you've been on the front line, the leader, moving through to the next generation. That's a hard job that no one rewards you for. So right now, wow, I'm getting a lot of feeling about that one. You're to be commended for the great work you've done, known, and so much unknown. So there's your spiritual confirmation and validation and thank you from above. Outside of all of that, this card here, there is something better waiting for you. Do what you know is right for you. And it's very much as kind of spiritual quest energy. So I'll just show you the card there. I'm really drawn to these steps here. I haven't used these cards for so long. I don't even know most of them, and interestingly, I'm really drawn to the light being on this, and it really is just the fence, right? It's the side of the little bridge, but they're stepping stones. And I feel like rather than walking through this, I feel like if you were to walk the normal way, it's like going back to your old reality, and you don't want that anymore. And I feel like rather the sign is to take a leap and go up the sides. And yes, maybe you might feel like that's risky, or that it's like dangerous for you to do so, right? That it's daring. So it's about being bold and daring and going where the light is shining on. It's the higher reality taking you to new places, spaces. Okay, so for August, I wrote down that it's a major month of shifting, resetting, activation, and moving fast, and major events that will probably move in a kind of pattern like this. Okay, we'll have the ramp up early month, right, up to the 8th, which is the Lionsgate, where there is the activation. And then we're moving in because we've got the 2 eclipses, remember? We've got truth frequency, resetting. There might be more than one feeling of I'm resetting. And then towards the end of the month, or mid to end, like a little dip area, you dip down again. So there you might need some more replenishment and so on. And then a clarity, remerging, releasing, breakthrough, and then tail end of the month, like from that breakthrough, like a stabilization. So integrating what you have learned, what has come through, the energies, and so on. And emotional stabilization again. I'm sure your emotions were all over the place not that long ago, if not now still for some. Okay, so I'm going to move now to go through from early to late in order roughly. Okay, so in this first week leading up to the Lionsgate, okay, so up till before the 8th, so the 7th, there's that ramp up energy and you feel it in your system. There's this feeling of like, I'm preparing, it's happening, things are like, I need to be switched on, I should get out of bed, right? And it's really important to follow that. I said before about the urges. So there's that feeling of rising energy. And, but at the same time, on top of the rising energy and that sense of exhilaration and heightened intuition and signs, synchronicity, and all that stuff, seeing the numbers, there's this that can also manifest as a restlessness, which is why it's important to get your nourishment so that you feed yourself with light to create that spaciousness so that when the information comes through, you know what to activate so that your restlessness can transform into getting something done, whether it's tidying up your house or it's starting that project or finishing that thing or working on your life dream or whatever it is. And so it can also then, you can feel this internal pressure, fog, fatigue, old patterns surfacing, the good old emotional sensitivity and everything you're familiar with. But there's that real sense of something's coming, right? And really trust and feel that, and always trust it always. Okay. Then on the 8th, we have the Lionsgate, and it peaks on the 8th. And this is where that portal fully opens and moves through to the 12th. It's a massive kind of activation point and powerhouse day of light, ignition, and your identity just sparking. There'll be a lot of themes about your personal identity through the month. So you might feel, unless you just get whacked out and tired, which sometimes I do on those sort of big energy days, you'll most likely feel a surge of energy, exhilaration, heightened kind of psychic clarity, so your intuition being switched on. But it will be also, for quite a lot of the month, spiritual connection, feeling your courage rising. That will be a continued theme too of the Leo energies. Heart and identity activation. And actually, just as I said courage and then there was heart, I saw the image of the lion in The Wizard of Oz. And I don't actually like The Wizard of Oz. It's a bit creepy. I do believe it is malintent in the origins of that story. However, the lion with the heart, and he was so kind of like sweet, but kind of like dopey and sad and no courage, right? I'm just feeling like you've been that, that it's time to move out of that. Don't allow that old identity to be permanent. Don't be like, well, that's who I am and that's that. Move out of it. Take steps to move out. Be courageous. Open that up. Open up that heart space, because that's how you can really make the most of these energies and move to your next level, but also just break free from those old patterns. They so are no longer needed, and in so many cases they may have served you for some time before, but they don't anymore. So hopefully you'll hear what you need to hear in these messages for you. There's a sense of creative fire and downloads, and I'm stepping into new stuff kind of feeling, and truth surfacing. But really, like, that's a lot of the energies generally, right? Okay, you can find out about Lionsgate otherwise. I've written a big article on it, so I'll place the link below, or just go to my website, nataliacuna.com. Go to the articles section, and there's a Lionsgate article. It'll either be in the cosmic energy or the astrology section of the articles. Okay. So then from the 8th to the 12th is what we call the Lionsgate kind of portal or window. And this is like a kind of open vortex where it's so active. And there's been years where I felt so propelled forward and so productive in those times. Or, like I said prior, sometimes these big energies can make you wiped out. So See how it manifests for you. And it's all about too, like, that's why readying yourself for all of this is so important, and everything I said prior, because it's able to open you up to this and to maximize it. And so it's about truth, the heart again, reset activation, like ignition, expansion, upgrades, hidden dreams and synchronicity, all of that, just moving deeper and deeper, and emotional clearing, energy clearing, and your connection to the divine, to that cosmic energy. And this kind of sense of, okay, a direction is forming, not just within me, but without me, as in out of me, forwards. Okay, and then we have some pockets of energy, which I've just sort of grouped into little time zones from, and take these roughly, but from about the 8th to 14th, we have a kind of emotional, intuitive corridor of time. And this feeling of, so this is within that period and also a couple of days after, I can't pretend anymore. That so matches with what I was saying earlier about the identity thing and truth. So this will be amplified by the eclipse season also. Whatever it is, and you would have gone through moments of this already, in waves at times, but it's like, I can't do it anymore. I can't pretend anymore. I can't be that, do that, right? Okay, you know what it is for you. Pay attention when those come up. Then from about the 10th to 18th, we've got like your mind switches on. It's very much Mercury, so mental energy, just clarity, communication, practical insight and direction. Again, just feeling really strong and grounded, and it's easier to make decisions and take those, or seeing at least the steps to take and what's coming next and so on, and making plans. Again, these can happen any time of the month, and go for it whenever it like lands for you. Then, so the August the 12th is when the Lionsgate portal closes. So we have that combined with the first eclipse of August, which is the solar eclipse, and it's in Leo. And so this whole combined kind of energy is this double whammy and interesting mix of two things going at once. So we have the final wave and close of the Lionsgate portal, which is huge energy. I mean, I look forward to it every year. Love, love, love the Lionsgate energy. And so there's a sense of a completion and integration, and kind of like reset again, and clarity, and your emotions settling with that, and your expansion and the upgrades. And just carrying with that a sense of knowing that an energy shift has happened, and you might, and like, you'll just keep feeling these in pockets of time, I'm feeling. And then on top of that, we have the eclipse of major truth revelation, personal and collective. So, and this is really like your old identity is being shafted like out the window, especially if you're being courageous and facing these things, pushing you into a new paradigm of authenticity, being authentic. I'm just seeing in that word authenticity, author, AUTH, authenticity, author, you being the true author, not a fake one, not a pseudonym, not hiding, not someone else writing your book, but you writing your book. That's why I really have a thing about, I don't like ghostwriters. I mean, I don't like, not that I don't like them, I don't like the notion of ghostwriting, because I really believe someone should write their own book. Okay. And so, and of course, not putting your name on something that you didn't write. And so this is very much about your authoring of yourself, like a new authorship, leadership. I'm hearing that suffix ship, friendship, authorship, leadership, stewardship, whatever other ship that you get. Also sailing that ship. Okay, so resetting your direction. So overall, a deeper insight, clearer intuition, a new chapter initiated. That's the combined energies, right? So the eclipse especially is about the heart, self-identity again, visibility. So the visibility part is daring to be seen. That could be on social media, that could be amongst other people. It could just mean opening the door and walking to your letterbox for some. and then going out to the shops, right? So visibility, whatever that means for you. But also I'm hearing and feeling, and I'm getting a bit sore ear with this. Also, there might be different frequencies coming in that you'll hear through the ears. Well, there will be. But the visibility of, oh, now that my new truth is rising, oh, I will be seen, and the fears that come up with that visibility aspect. So my throat's going, so that's the energy of that. You'll know what that means for you. It's kind of like feeling naked in front of others, and they're going to see your true you, right? So yeah, really feeling that one, that truth of who you are. So we're moving into, and this is where the throat is really important too, okay, self-expression, personal power, and just coming out of the closet, quite literally for some, and just metaphorically for others, whatever closet that is. It's just has those vibes. Might be sprinklings, like moments of it, right? A little bit of in and out with it. And you might feel the urge to stop hiding and step into your real identity, or whatever doses you can muster, but really like I feel this encouragement with it, like an encouragement of do this, step out, okay? So the eclipse pushes truth, inner fire, creativity, being seen, and inner authority. When you have your inner authority, I spoke earlier about moving from disempowerment to empowerment now. From inner authority, then you can have outer authority. There's that author word again. Author, authentic, authority. Being an authoritative voice, not being scared to voice your authorship, your knowledge, your knowing, your feelings, your visions, your perspectives, I'm hearing. And so really it's more identity reset, also heart-based decisions, but I'm feeling also like energy light-based decisions, dropping old personas and versions and stepping into your real/new identity. It's kind of like both, right? It's like what's real in you, but it's also what's newly birthing. So re-emerging as well. And just the courage to act, speak, and to choose yourself. Again, I mentioned something along those lines earlier, so it's really being double echoed. So this solar eclipse exposes and resets where you've been dimming, hiding, and shrinking yourself, suppressing your real voice and your inner fire. You'll have such creative urges this month. So have you had throat chakra issues I made a note of in the last month or so? And low self-worth, lack of confidence, or perhaps you've been performing or having moments where you performed, like a bit more of the fake self coming out, pretending or living in those old identity patterns, or also over accommodating, tolerating, or betraying yourself. Whatever you've learned, and you would have gone through lessons of this in recent months of, I can't tolerate that anymore. And so that now easing out into the next chapter. So there might still be remnants to dissolve of all this old stuff, right? And how you've betrayed yourself even, or how others have betrayed you, and you're holding on to that. Really, when I say holding on to that, that's why being so open and spacious just allows it to like declutch. They're making some kind of analogy about the clutch of a car, but I don't quite understand it. But it's like, don't grip on, like loosen it, loosen the grip, allow that car to free flow. It's a claim your space turning point energy, and we've been building up to it. There would be the breakdown before the breakthrough. You've probably already gone down through the breakdown. There might be another one coming up soon before the eclipse, see how you go. But then you're moving through the breakthrough. There's probably going to be a series. So you might feel a push for change in direction, movement forward, urge for action, and just showing up in a new way and making bold choices, and just like a go for it energy. When I said before about breakdowns before breakthroughs, really pay attention to that, because so many of us empaths, and like we get so caught up in those, because when we have the breakdown, we just think we make it all about us and how terrible we are and how we can never do anything and nothing ever comes about or whatever it is. And really, we just got to get through it, because it's just that sign that we're on the edge before that next energy set. So August 13th to 20th. So now we're moving more mid-month, post the solar eclipse, but of course that energy still runs through, and we're in that kind of eclipse portal period from one eclipse, the solar, to the next one. So this is where clarity, direction, communication, and grounded insight comes in. It really is important to ground the insight that you're receiving. And this is where you might get that lack of motivation, and it might sort of dip down a bit into fog and fatigue and confusion, or you might overthink things. So just, when you need to, rest and don't push it. It's one thing to say, go for it, act. And it's another to know when to retreat, to replenish, to rest, and not push or force anything. You've had so much going on, and to integrate as well, because whenever a lot of light comes in, we need time to integrate. Our bodies can't handle it. Our physical bodies can get really out of whack. You can have like so many, what we call the ascension symptoms happening, and really it can be a lot for us. Or it could just be the exhaustion moments and so on, or, sleep cycles being interrupted and all the rest of it. So your body might be playing catch-ups, but again, that could be at any time. Also during that time, the kind of Mars-Neptune-Pluto mix might make you feel drained, or you get a bit of unclarity and old patterns resurfacing. Again, it's totally normal to go through these ups and downs. So that might seem contradictory, because I was so turned on, and now I'm like, oh, what's happened to me? I'm dipped down after all that heightened energy. But see how you go. This might apply to not everyone. We've just got to really wait and move through it, right? And we're all going through our own personal cycles. Then from August 21 to end of month 31st, now we start to come out of that dip, that slump, and come back to our waking up to that clarity again, and that breakthrough and liberation feeling, with our insight returning, emotional balance and stabilization, which is so important, of that new chapter locking in, and feeling structure and forward movement again. The lunar eclipse, which is on the 28th, allows for further illusions to dissolve and let go. So we end the month with some long-term direction. So that lunar eclipse is in Pisces. So on that note, the solar eclipse, often with the solar eclipse, so that's the one on the 12th, a lot of things come up to do with like masculine. So that might be your father or your partner, or anything to do with masculine energy. It could be the patriarchy and so on. With the lunar, it's the mother, the sister, the female friend, or this can also be son and daughter, any females in your life, or the matriarchy. And so that's important to pay attention to too, what's coming up in those areas. For some, that will be quite pronounced, and for others, maybe not so much. So this is an emotional breakthrough month where you might experience the emotional release, the truth surfacing again. This is very exposure vibes, right? So probably so much will be coming out, like, in the media, especially in the like conspiracy realm, which a lot is not conspiracy, but that's a whole other topic. Illusions dissolving, a feeling of like intuitive clarity and elucidation, but also like closure, like the old stuff. So we're releasing and closing off. So a lot of old mental, emotional cycles, are way overdue to be released on whatever level. So there's this feeling, it's a very sort of feeling and revelation type energy, exposing, clearing out. And it's really important to pay attention to anything you've been avoiding, or even attached to, or idolizing. It's like taking off those rose-colored glasses. They'll be wiped off your face, I'm kind of hearing. And it's like, you're going to see it. You might not like what you see. You may have seen it before, but decided to turn your blinkers on. So yes, so pay attention to that. any emotional weight, also hearing that physical weight, escaping or numbing yourself, all those old patterns where you were unclear, confused, just going around that same bloody old cycle that you're sick of and you're probably very well aware of, and you probably have more than one. Being spiritually disconnected and absorbing others' energy too much and all of that. And actually, on that note too, so your energy hygiene, your consciousness of clearing your energy, but also protecting your energy is so vitally important. Okay, so you might also experience a heightened spiritual sense of connection. Again, this is just a theme many times through the month. You're probably going to be getting a lot of vivid dreams, just feelings about things, insight dropping in, downloads, just a heightened psychic sensitivity. So that's also why your energy hygiene is so important, and protection too. But a deeper connection with your inner voice. It's really time to feel into your truth and release everything that's been coming up for you that's truly so outdated now. So it's very much an emotional detox. Your sensitivity will likely be heightened. So yeah, just keep an eye on that. So, if you go through that, just why. And you might feel the sort of feeling of building up towards that. So if you feel like you're going crazy at any moment, this is why, no doubt. And you'll really see things and people and patterns for what they really are. And you might just cry at the drop of the hat. And so expect a bit of crazy town. Let's see how it goes. So in the earlier solar eclipse on the 12th, you discovered and activated the new version of yourself. And it's all during that Lionsgate time. And with all the Leo sort of helping energy. It's really telling you, this is who I am now. And in the lunar eclipse, which is in Pisces, it will initiate that cleanse that we've talked about and all that old residue kind of melting away and really having that knowing of, okay, this is what I'm really letting go of now and allowing that to take place. Okay. So that takes you through the month of August. So much going on. So hang in there, hang tight. I really hope that you feel the positive end of that spectrum and enjoy the light upgrades happening and taking place. And I'd love to hear your experiences. So pop comments below. How are you going with it all? And if you'd like to receive energy updates by email, then join my email list at spiritualcourseacademy.com/list. And I'll see you in the next month.